Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Intersection. This is a continuation to the video that we made on using MySQL database in ASP.NET application. However, in this one, I'll show you how to enable the grid view to edit and delete. And I also made some changes to the database. I'll go over the changes with you before we start working on the new ideas. Let's start. One of the major changes I made is to the table. If you recall in the table that we made in the earlier video, instead of office building number, we have here is course ID. The fact is, if I have a courses table, then the courses table and the faculty table should have a many-to-many relationship, and I have to add a bridge table. I don't want to make these videos very long, where I would have to create a bridge table and then the other table. So I want to make it easy for me. So what I decided to do is to have a building table where the relationship between the faculty and the buildings will be one-to-many. So many faculty members will be residing in one building. Every faculty should have one office. So will make it easy. We will achieve what we're trying to do in a quick way. So that's one of the things I made. The other things I made, they're cosmetic. They're not going to change anything, and they are I changed the layout of the page, and I changed the details view CSS from the. I don't like the one I did in the early video, so I changed it to look a little bit better and cleaner on the videos when you watch it. Other than that, these are the changes I made. So let's go ahead and start with the first thing we're going to do is we will change this grid view to enable to edit and delete. So if you click on the smart tag, and you will have one of the options, enable editing and deleting. If you don't see that, then you need to go ahead and edit your SQL connector, and to make sure that you select the advanced and make sure you check the advanced, check the generate insert update. That's if you don't see the edit and the edit and delete. If you've seen it, then you did that. So make sure that you do this in case you forgot it from the first video. I'm gonna click OK. I'm gonna cancel. So that's if when I have that checked, then I should be able to see enable editing and enable deleting. Once I selected those, you can see there are links to them right away, and so you can now view it. So let's view it on the browser. And as you see, those links edit and delete. If I click on edit, the whole place here will be editable. So let's select somebody that doesn't have a building and doesn't have a building and doesn't have a phone number and doesn't have an office. So let's click on Zoe, edit, becomes an editable row. So let's just move this, gonna be room 133, and her number is, and she is in building 5. I'm gonna click on update, and as you can see, Zoe's the information that we just entered it's right in Zoe's row. If you recall from the last video, we created this link. This link will link to the insert page when we click on it, when we run it on the browser. So let's try it one more time, and let's add some values to our database using this insert. And here's our page in the browser. If I click insert more info, I come to the details view insert mode. Remember, the details views, when we create them, they're in the read-only mode. You have to change them from read-only to insert mode. Let's add some records. I entered all the data. I know the office number and the building and the phone number, so I entered them. You know, these three are null value. You don't have to fill them up if you don't know the information. I'm going to click on the insert. That should take me to Janet Lewis. It's been added. Now the thing is, let's assume that we don't want to fill any blank. We shouldn't have any blank first name or any blank last name, because you remember, these are required. We can have a blank office number, we can have a blank building number, and we can have a phone number that's not assigned. But we can't have email. So these are required fields. So how can we make these required? Well, we need to we need to put some validation on these fields. So let's see how we do this. To apply validation, we need to do two things on the grid view. So first, we're going to change all these text boxes to item templated. So we're going to click on the smart tag, edit fields, and we don't want to do the faculty ID. There is no need for that. We're going to remove it because it is a primary key. And then the first name, and then convert this to into a item into a template field, last name. So I did all of them except the cancel and insert button. I don't want to change those to template field. And then make sure that you click OK. And then after you click OK, now we can edit them. Click on the edit template. And from here, we are going to select the insert item template. Here's our insert item template, and here's our text box. So now we are going to open our tools. And then we are going to go to the validation, and we're going to drag required field validator and place it there. Right click, go to the property window, and let's make it a little bit smaller so we can see the whole thing. And then we need to navigate the error message to the correct text box, which is in this case will be text box 1 because text box 0 is the ID. So control to validate is text box 1. That's what we want. The error message is first name required because that's the first name as you see here. Control to validate is a must do, otherwise you get an error message. So this is done. I'm going to close that, and now I can just go ahead and select my second. Oh, and I'm going to end first. Now I'm going to do the second one, the last name. So click on edit template, and then insert the template so I don't get all of them at the same time. And then I'm going to come down here and select the last name. We want the insert, and drag required field validator and do the property. Now this is control to validate. It will be text box 2, and so error message last name required. Control to validate is text box 2. Let's do one more. This is the department name. So this is our third one. Edit template, inserted item template, and then now I'm going to go to the next. Here's the department name, inserted template, drag me required field validator, and go to the property. Now the control to validate is text box 3, and this one is department name. Done. Required field validator. So here is the email field. So I'm going to drag in the required field validator first. We're going to go to the property, and control to validate is text box 6, and we are going to say email is required. So email is required. Now the other thing we can do in the email also, we can add regular expression. So let's do that. And so to make sure this is an email is written there, we go to the property, and control to validate is text box 2, invalid email, and then we are going to go down here and then validate the regular expressions. Okay, so we are going to click here and click on this ellipses. Notice what I clicked, validation expression, and then we are going to go to, I think, internet email address. Click OK. So if that is not a correct email, it will not be accepted. We are going to close that, and then we are going to close the end our template. And I just remembered the office number and the phone number are not required. they're not required. Remember, in our databases, we decided not to require them. So I'm going to convert them back to their original status without item template. So I'm going to go to edit fields, and then in the edit fields, I am going to come to the office number, and remember phone number, the office number first, and then delete it, and the phone number, and I will delete it, and the building number, and I will delete it. And then I'm going to go all the way to the top, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add them as bounded field. So here is the office number, here is the phone number, and here is the office building. I add them up. If I don't like their being here, I can just shift them. Let's just move this up a little bit. So now we got the, and let's move this all the way to the bottom. So now I think it looks reasonable. So let's click that, and let's end the template. All of that, I think it's ended. Before we test it, there is one more thing we need to do. Remember the web config? We have to add the authentication in the web for our validation here in the web config. So we are going to anywhere inside the configuration, the root element, inside the, see, I'm inside the configuration. So I'm going to come right here and then add my app setting. Otherwise, the validation will not work. So now having done all of that, make sure that you save your work, and then let's test it. So if I click on insert more info, I come to this page. If I don't insert anything, I click on the insert, and you can see first name is required, last name is required. But you can see this is like causing a havoc here. So we can make the summary on the bottom here. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to cancel this back to here. So I'm going to click on the smart tag, edit template, and then what I am going to do is I'm going to create an empty item template. I'm going to go all the way down, and I think I can use the footer or the header, or I can use empty data template. I'm going to use the footer. And then in the footer here, I will add my other control that I need to add, which is validation summary. Put that in there. Now I can go back into each one of them that I did before. Let's go to the first name, and I am going to edit the property of this. So what I will do, I come to the text here and put an asterisk. So I get rid of all of that big junk and close that. Let me do the second one and then test it so you can see it. So that's, we did the first name. Let's do the last name. And remember, I go after the insert item template and do the property on this one. Remember the property in the DetailsView required field. So we are coming to this text and put an asterisk. All right, I'm going to close it and all of that. And let's test it one more time. Here I'm in the browser. So we're going to click insert more info. I'm not going to insert anything. I'm just going to click there. And you can see there's an asterisk here, and it says first name is required, last name is required. So you can do the same process in all of the other fields, and you can then authenticate your data. Thank you very much and have a beautiful day. Bye bye now.